Good morning, everyone. This recording is to explain the King's demand curve model, price leadership, and the prisoner's dilemma. So, three things will be discussed in this recording. So, we start with King's demand curve. So, I will try my best to explain the entire concepts that is three concepts in as much short time as possible. So I'll just explain the diagram, and the explanation of it is in the paragraphs which you will write and prepare yourself for the assignment based examinations. Okay. So first of all, King's demand theory starts with three assumptions. One assumption is that if one oligopolistic organization, that means an organization which is dwelling in the oligopoly market, it reduces its price, then other organizations also reduce its price. Second assumption is that if that one oligopolistic organization increases the price, then other organization may not follow to increase the price, and will not follow, actually not may not, will not follow the trend of increasing in price by the one oligopolistic organization. So, and the third assumption is that there will always prevail a price, a perfect price in the market, because you see all the firm will try to move in the same way as much as possible. All the firms will try to keep their prices in the same level as much as possible, so that they can make the competition stiffer in the market. So that those are the three assumptions, and based on this diagram you'll have to draw, and then explanations you have to write if you are asked to explain the model. Okay. So there will be two demand curves. Okay. And the slope of the demand curve will differ in different conditions. When price will increase, price will decrease, there will be difference in the slope of the King's demand curve. In this model, every organization will face two demand curves. In case of high prices, an oligopolistic organization will face highly elastic demand curve, and in this diagram, the highly elastic demand curve is small dd dash. Okay, and if the prices are low, then the oligopolistic organization will face then the oligopolistic organization will face the demand curve capital D D dash, which will not so much elastic. It may be inelastic demand curve. Okay. Now suppose the prevailing price of the product in the market is PQ. You'll have to draw the diagram. Okay. Otherwise, this explanation will go in vain. So suppose the prevailing price of a product in the market is PQ. You can see PQ on the diagram. This is, suppose it is the prevailing price. Now, if one of the oligopolistic organizations makes changes in its price, then there can be three reactions of the rival firms. Okay. One reaction may be that if firstly, when the oligopolistic organization would increase its prices, its demand curve will shift to small dd dash. Suppose one oligopolistic organization is increasing its price, then the demand curve, which was maybe capital dd dash, will shift to small dd dash. Okay, why in such a case consumers, because the if the one of the organization is increasing its price, then there will be chances that the consumers will shift towards other organizations, to the rival organizations, right? Because if one price increases, then there are other products also available in the market, same type of products. So obviously consumers will switch to the rival firm's product. Thus, it will lead to fall in the sales of the organization which has increased its price. In addition, the small dp portion of dd dash would be more elastic, which lies above the prevailing price. See, small d and p, this portion, small d and p, this portion is going to be more elastic in nature, because it is falling above the prevailing price. It is falling above the prevailing price. Now, on the other hand, if price say it falls, then rivals would also reduce their prices. This is the assumption, right, in King demand curve model, that if the price falls, one of the oligopolistic organization is reducing its price, then the rival firms will also reduce their prices. Thus, what will happen? the sale of the oligopolistic organization will be less, because all the other rival firms are also reducing, then this firm is also reducing, and all are reducing, right? So consumers will be now be spread, because they will have similar type of product available at low prices all over the market, in the oligopoly market. Okay, so what will happen, the consumers will also spread their preferences. Thus the sales of the organization which has increased its price will be less. In such a case, the demand curve faced by the oligopolistic organization will be capital P and D dash. See, this is capital P and D dash. In such a case, the demand curve of the oligopolistic organization will be capital P and D dash. This portion, okay, and it will fall below the prevailing price, which will lie below the prevailing price. Secondly, second reaction, what can be the second reaction of the rival firms? Rival firms will not at all react with respect to the changes in the price of the oligopolistic organization. There will be no reaction at all. They will sit quiet. In such a case, the oligopolistic organization would face DD dash demand curve. In such a case, what will happen? The oligopolistic organization will face the demand curve DD dash, which will be inelastic in nature. Okay, because other firms are not reacting, only this would is reacting. That's why they will face an inelastic demand curve. Thirdly, third reaction can be the rival organizations may follow price cut, but not price hike. That means may follow price decrease but will not follow price increase. If the oligopolistic organization increases the price and rivals do not follow it, then consumers may switch to rivals. Thus, the rivals would gain control over the market. Thus, the oligopolistic organization would be forced from DP demand curve to DP, that is small dp to capital DP. The firm will now be forced to the demand curve small dp to the demand curve capital DP, because since the other rival firms are not increasing price but are decreasing price, then the oligopolistic organization, if it increases and other firms are not following it, that means they are not increasing the price, then consumers will have to switch to the rivals, and thus gradually the rivals would gain control over the market, and thus in order to survive and not to lose its customer, the oligopolistic organization which has increased its price would be forced from small dp to capital DP. That means the demand will, it will have to follow a lower demand curve, which is rather, if let me not use the term lower, let me use the term inelastic demand curve. This would result in producing the king's demand curve. On the other hand, if the oligopolistic organization would reduce the prices, the rival organization will also reduce the prices in order to secure their customers. Here, the relevant demand curve will be PD dash. Here, the relevant demand curve will be PD dash. Now, the PD dash demand curve will occur. Okay, because this is a situation where the rival firms are also reducing their prices. Thus, the demand curve will now be P small d dash. Okay, from DP it is now P D dash. Okay, from capital DP it is now capital P small d dash. Here, the relevant demand curve is PD dash. The two parts of the demand curve are now are what? Capital D, capital P, and capital P, small d dash, which is DPD dash with a kink at a point P. Right. So, due to the assumptions and the happenings in the market, we are finally getting the demand curve with a little bit of kink. The demand curve is now capital D, capital P, small d dash, because there will be forces operating in the market, unseen forces, due to the behavior of the rival firms and the move as a result of the movement of prices by one of the oligopolistic organization. The demand curve will occur, and the shape of it will be a little bit of kink. It will not be a perfect straight line moving downward or upward, not like that. It will move towards the downward side on the right hand side, but there will be a kink. The kink is will be at the point P. Understood? This is the King's demand curve model. You'll have to perfectly draw the diagram, and you can leave the explanation till this much. You may not write, let us draw the MR curve of the oligopolistic organization. You may leave these portions if you are asked to explain the King demand curve model. And there will be certain criticisms. You can read it on your own. It is not that tough. Collusion model is not there in your syllabus, so you will just study King demand curve model. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can please message me in my WhatsApp number, or in our next class when you meet after your caliber event ends, you can discuss the doubts over there. Okay. Now let us move on to this one, price leadership. Price leadership and how price and output are determined in that price leadership model. Okay. So first of all, we'll have to understand that what are the conditions under which the effective price leadership functioning occurs. Now, what is price leadership? Price leadership will take place when there is only one dominant organization in the industry which will set the price and others will follow the price. Okay, if in an oligopoly market it happens that one organization is setting one price and other rival firms are following that price, then this situation for that organization which is setting the price is called price leadership. Sometimes an agreement may be developed among organizations to assign a leadership role to one of them. The dominant organization is treated as price leader because of various reasons, such as large size of the organization, large economies of scale, advanced technologies being used for the operations. Then, according to the agreement, there is no formal restrictions that other organizations should follow the price set by the leading organization. However, sometimes agreement is formal in nature. Okay, there it may occur as an agreement also in the market that one firm, suppose maybe Reliance. Let us go with Reliance. It is a very tough organization, isn't it? It's not only big; it has lot of products in the market. It is lot of economies of scale. Then the latest technologies are being used by this company. So it may happen that all the telecom companies sit together and then they make Reliance Telecom as the price leader, and then they make an agreement that this company will set the price and others will follow the price. However, it may be not an hard and fast rule that other organizations will have to follow. There may be not formal restrictions, but sometimes the agreement can be formal also that other organizations should have to follow. This also helps in attaining effective price leadership, which works. Price leadership is assumed to stabilize the price and maintain price discipline in an oligopoly market. Obviously, it will happen, right? If there is agreement that this has to be the price, then there will be stabilization of the price, and the price discipline will be proper in the market. Also, this will help in attaining effective price leadership, which will work under the following conditions. When the number of organizations is small, this is possible only in oligopoly market. Then entry to the industry is restricted, possible. Products are homogeneous, it's there in oligopoly market. Fourth is demand is inelastic or less elastic. This also happens in oligopoly market. Okay. And the fifth condition is organizations have similar cost curves. That means operation cost or marginal cost, whatever you say, they are similar among all the organizations. Then only this effective price leadership model is possible. Then under price leadership, there are also two types. One is dominant and one is barometric. Dominant price leadership refers to a type of leadership in which only one organization dominates the entire industry. Under dominant price leadership, other organizations in the industry cannot influence prices. The dominant organization uses its power of monopoly to maximize its profit, and other organizations have to adjust their output with the set price. Okay, there is no chance available for the followers to affect the price, and the dominant firm actually they uses their power of monopoly in order to maximize their profit, and other organization make adjustments with their output in order to set its price. It produces more output maybe so that it can make up with its profits, like that they adjust. The interests of other organizations are ignored by the dominant organization. Therefore, dominant price leadership is sometimes termed as partial monopoly. Price leadership by the leading organization is most commonly seen in the industry. Then what is barometric price leadership? It refers to a leadership in which one organization declares the change in prices at first and assumes that other organizations will accept it. The organization does not dominate others and need not to be the leader in the in the industry. Such type of organization is known as barometer. Okay. What is it? This in this type of leadership, the organization which is setting the price will declare the price change and will assume that other organization will accept it. But here the farm does not dominate other farms. This barometric organization only initiates a reaction to changing market situation, which other organizations may follow if they find the decision in their interest. On the contrary, the leading organization has to be accurate while forecasting demand and cost conditions so that the suggested price is accepted by the other organizations. Okay. So here what will happen? I am the boss, but I will not act like a boss. I will try to include everyone in my decision. So they happily include and they happily keep the price as mine. I'll be the boss. He will act like a boss. He will not at all care about the interest of the other organization, and they will. And this organization, this dominant organization, will maximize its profit due to that image, due to that partial monopoly factor. Okay. Then barometric mean, let us not go into detail of it. Let us go into detail this much. Price output determination under price leadership. Price leadership takes place when there is only one dominant organization in the industry which sets the price and others follow it. Different economists have developed different models for determining price and output in price leadership. Here we would discuss a simple model for determining price and output in the price leadership, which is shown in this figure. So you will draw this figure. After that, you will explain it like this. Suppose there are two organizations, A and B, producing identical products where organization A has a lower cost of production than organization B. Therefore, consumers are indifferent between these two organizations due to identical products. This implies that both the organizations would face same demand curve, which further represents equal market share. In the figure, DD is the demand curve of both the organization and MR is the marginal revenue curve. Okay, capital DD and MR is the marginal revenue curve. MCA MCA and MCB are the marginal cost curves of organization A and B respectively. Marginal cost of A and B will be different because it is said that marginal cost of A or the cost of production of A is lower than cost of production of B. So marginal cost will also be different. Marginal cost A is for A, which will be lower than marginal cost B. As stated earlier, the cost of production is less than thus MCA is drawn below MCB. Let us first start the discussion of price leadership with the case of organization A. The profits of organization A would be maximized at a point where MR intersects MCA. Right, this is the fact. This is in condition of equilibrium that the profits is maximum when at a point where the marginal revenue intersects marginal cost curve. So what which is the price where marginal cost A is intersecting marginal revenue curve? It is at the point P, right? It is at the point P. So this P level is the price or farm A. And at this point, the output of the organization will be OQ with the price level OB. On the other hand, the profits of organization maximized at a point MR intersects MCB with the output OQ1 and O price OP1. So similarly, for farm B, when MCB intersects MR at a point P1, this becomes the price and OQ1 it becomes the output. In such a case, the price of organization B is more as compared to organization A. However, both the organizations have to charge the same price as products are homogeneous. In this case, organization A is the price leader and organization B is the follower. Right. because organization's B's price is more and organization A's price will be less because its cost of operation is more. Cost of operation is less. That's why price will also be less. In this case, organization A will act as the price leader and organization B will be the follower. Thus, organization A will dictate the price to organization B. Both the organizations will follow the same output OQ and price OP. However, the profits earned by organization B are less than A, as it has to produce at price OP, which is less than its profit maximizing price, that is OP1. In addition, the organization B also has high cost of production that leads to lower profits at the price OP1, isn't it? Since cost of production for the farm B is more, that's why its profit will be less, but it cannot set its price at a higher level. This is the concept of price leadership. Okay, easy concept. You may just go and explain and draw the diagram and explain if you're asked to find out the price and output determination level in under price leadership condition. This one is an interesting model, interesting concept, which says prisoner's dilemma. What is this? The firms working in oligopolistic markets make decisions in face of uncertain. This is another topic which I am taking up now. Okay, three topics I told I will record in this recording. So this is the third and last topic, which is prisoner's dilemma. And this happens in an oligopoly market. The firms working in oligopolistic markets make decisions in face of uncertainty about how their rivals will react to their moves, isn't it? Because um, if you are not moving into an agreement, then everything is unseen, right? Everything is cannot be predicted with certainty. In that case, what the firms who are operating in this market will make decisions in the face of uncertainty about how their rivals will react to their moves. The game theory is a mathematical technique of analyzing the behavior of rival firms with regard to change in price, output, and advertisement expenditure in the situations of conflicts of interest among individuals or firms. An important game model. This is talking about a game theory because you know why this prisoner's dilemma comes from the concept of game theory. That's why. So, what is a game theory? This is a mathematical technique. Basically, you may learn this game theory in your higher studies, maybe in MBA or maybe in BBA also. I'm not sure, but it will be in higher classes. Okay. So it is a mathematical technique of analyzing what the behavior of the rival firms, how they will behave with respect to the change in price, output, and advertisement expenditure of your firm. So how will you predict or how will you measure the reaction of the behavior of the rival firms? That can be done with the help of game theory. Uh, Okay, an important game model that has significant implications for the behavior of oligopolists is popularly known as prisoner's dilemma. Model of prisoner's dilemma explains how rivals behaving selfishly act contrary to their mutual or common interest. We first explain prisoner's dilemma with the examples which was originally given while propounding this model. Okay, so we will take this example. When this model was developed, this examples was exactly used. Suppose two persons are there, one is Billa and one is Ranga, have been caught for committing a bank robbery. Okay, so we will take one example how the act of the rival is determined with the change in your own act. No, so we will do it with the example of a bank robbery, bank robbers. Okay, so suppose two persons, Billa and Ranga, have been caught for committing a bank robbery. They have committed robbery and they have been caught. Okay, suppose the prosecution um, has no enough evidence for their committing the crime. In order to procure confession from them, they are interrogated in two separate rooms so that they could not communicate with each other. Okay, so the prosecution did not have enough evidence to prove their crime. So what they did, they have to make them confess. Right, that is the only way to put them in behind bars. So what they did, they had put these two persons in two separate rooms so that they cannot communicate with each other. While interrogating each accused, the police offers to Billa, if you confess to the crime, that is, cooperate with the police, while the other keeps silent, that is, does not confess, you will be given imprisonment for a short period, say 1 year only, but punish the other with 10 years imprisonment. Okay. So what is the first thing that the police said to one, that is to Billa? He said that if you confess to the crime, and that means you are cooperating with the police, and if the other is keeping silent, he is not speaking anything, then you will be given imprisonment for a short period of time, say 1 year, but the other will be put behind bars for 10 years. If the other also confesses, then both of you will be sentenced to jail for 5 years. It may, however, be known that if both prisoners do not confess, then according to the provisions of law, each can be jailed only for 2 years. Okay, so see, so what is the second thing that the police said? If the other, that is Ranga, also confesses, then both of these people will be sentenced to 5 years each. Okay, then it may, however, be known, you may know this, the fact which Ranga and Billa may not know, but you should know this fact, that if both prisoners do not confess, since the police has no strong evidence against them, then according to the provisions of law, each can be jailed for only 2 years. The choices open to each accused are pretended in payoff matrix, which here refers to years of imprisonment. Okay, so here, when you know the facts, so this has been put in a matrix format. So Ranga's choice, this is Billa's choice. If Billa confesses, Ranga also confesses, then Ranga and Billa, both of them will be sentenced for 5 years. And if Billa does not confess, but Ranga confesses, then Ranga will be sentenced for 1 year and Billa will be sentenced for 10 years. If Ranga does not confess, but Billa confesses, then Ranga will be sentenced for 10 years and Billa will be confessed for 1 year only. And if both of them does not confess, then both of them will be sentenced for how many years? 2 years, because the police does not have any strong evidence to put them into imprisonment without their confession. It will be seen from the payoff matrix that the outcome, that is length of sentences to each, is determined by the specific strategy, that is choice adopted by each prisoner. The two choices refer to one that is confesses and number two that is does not confess. If both Ranga and Billa, this has been explained, which I just told you right now. Okay, so I'm not going into detail of these paragraphs. Now see, now each prisoner faces an uncertain situation regarding how the other person will behave, isn't it? You don't know. You know the payoffs, that if this happens, then this is going to happen. If that happens, then that is going to happen. But you don't know what the other person will do. You don't know if the other person will confess or not, because you both of Ranga and Billa are put into two different rooms. So both of them doesn't know what the other person is going to do. Though each person has to make an independent choice whether to confess or not, but the outcome, that is payoff, depends on what the other does, right? What the other person will do, it depends completely on them, their payoffs, that is their time of imprisonment. But one person does not know the choice of the other person. Now, under these circumstances, what choice will be made by the prisoners when they cannot communicate with each other and have to choose between the two alternatives independently? The model of prisoner's dilemma suggests that both behaving selfishly and working in self-interest will confess to the crime and will cheat each other. Since both confess, each will get imprisonment for 5 years. Why do they make this choice and confess? Can be shown as under. Take Ranga first. Most probably he would confess when he does not know how his co-accused will react. Ranga would reason like this similar way. If I do not confess, it is very likely that I will be imprisoned for 10 years, as the other prisoner will most probably confess. If I confess, I will get 5 years imprisonment if the other one also confesses, and only 1 year imprisonment if he does not confess. right? So in the presence of uncertainty about the other person's choice and behaving in self-interest, Ranga is likely to confess. Billa too, reasoning similarly, would confess, right? Because one will think that if the other person is not confessing, let me confess, because then I will be imprisoned for 1 year only. Even if he confuses, that then also I'll be imprisoned for 5 years, but not 10 years. If I don't confess and the other person is confessing, then I'll be in imprisonment for 10 years. Whereas I have a chance of 1 year and 5 years. So 1 year and 5 years is better than 10 years. So in this thinking, in this process of thinking, both of them will confess. Okay. However, it is self-interest which leads to teach prisoners to confess and prevents them from attaining the best solution for themselves, that is 2 years of imprisonment, right? If what would have happened if both of them would not have confessed, both of them would not have confessed, then only for 2 years they would have been imprisoned. They don't know it at the situation, right? Only that has been said that if you confess, the other person not confessing, you will get 1 year, the other person will get 10 years. If you don't, if you both of you confess, you will get 5. Only these two things was told, but it was not told that you will be not in imprisonment for 10 years or 5 years or 1 year, but if you don't confess, both of you can be in imprisonment for 2 years. That would have been benefit for both of them. But due to this interest, self-interest or selfish nature, or independent decision yet selfish nature had compelled them to make the make take the decision which will lead for 5 years of imprisonment for each. Then what is prisoner's dilemma in oligopolistic market? Here you can do it in this way. Okay. The game of prisoner's dilemma is of important relevance to the oligopoly theory. Now we will relate this prisoner's dilemma to the oligopoly market. The incentive to cheat by a member of a cartel, that is the model of a collusive oligopoly, and eventual collapse of cartel agreement is better explained with the model of prisoner's dilemma. Instead of two prisoners, we take two firms, A and B, which have entered into a cartel agreement and have fixed the price of the product. Each has to charge an output, each has to produce and sell. The choice problem facing each member firm of the cartel is whether to cooperate and abide by the agreement and thus sharing the joint monopoly profits, or to cheat the other and try to make higher individual profits. Can you relate this with the Billa and Ranga example? Now suppose both of these firms sit together and try to adjust and collaborate so that they decide on the price and also on the output to produce and sell. And in that agreement, both of them can either they can work mutually or they can think about their own interest. So what will happen? Whether to quit and abide mutually or they can think about their own interest. So what will happen? Whether to cooperate or abide by the agreement, thus share the joint monopoly profits, or to cheat the other and try to make higher individual profits. But if both cheat and violate the agreement, the cartel would break down and profits would fall to the competitive level, right? If both of them cheat and violate the agreement, we will show that though both would lose by cheating others, but as seen in case of prisoner's dilemma, their selfish behavior would lead them to cheat others. Just it happened in the case of Bila and Ranga. It will happen in the case of farms also. Due to the selfish nature, both of them will cheat each other. The payoff matrix for two members from the various combination of choices to be made by them is presented in this table. This will be similar to the prisoner's dilemma. If farm B cheat but farm A is also cheating, then both of them will share for 5 lakhs each. If the farm A cooperate and B also cooperate, then it will lead to 15 lakhs profit to each other. If farm A cheat and farm B cooperate, then farm A will get 25 lakhs and 2 lakhs. And if farm A cooperate and farm B cheats, then farm A will end up with 2 lakh while farm B will end up with 25 lakhs of rupees. Okay. If you cheat and the others cooperate, then only you can earn more. Otherwise, you will lose. It is evident from the payoff from the different choices that each firm has a strong incentive to cheat. Because if one firm cheat and the other firms cooperate, then it wins. The same is true for the other firm whose base strategy is also to cheat. Again, it is the pursuit of self interest rather than common interest that prompts the firms to cheat each other. Thus, both firms will cheat, and this will bring about the breakdown of the cartel. Okay. Now, if you want to show it in graphical representation, also you can. It has been easily explained over here. You please do it on your own. Okay. I'm not going to explain it in detail. If you explain till this much, that will also be enough. But if you have time, you have assignment based examination, you can explain it graphically also, like this. Okay, you go through it. I mean, I'm uploading these links in the Moodle, and if you have any difficulty in our next class, you can raise the doubts. Okay. All right, then I'm ending the recording over here. And go to those who are listening to me right now. That means you have gone through the recording. So I'm very much thankful for that. And please raise your doubts when we meet next. Okay. Bye bye.